Happy the 1st of July, everyone. What a great Monday to kick off the new quarter. So let's check in on Bitcoin over the weekend. So we'll drop down to the 1 hourly and we will have a look at where we were looking back in Friday. So Friday 3 o'clock was the idea that we're either going to come up and test this area and go down, or we were going to come up and test and break through. Turns out we did none of that. So we actually fell through. We found support just above this liquidity grab. So the lowest we got was 60,090. Our liquidity grab zone was 60,014, but we managed to find enough buying pressure that we came up through, and this level of resistance with all these liquidity grabs, there's 3 liquidity grabs, there's the 618 zone. We smashed through it this morning at 8 o'clock Brisbane time. We found a little bit of support, just a gentle retest, and we've shot up and we've almost filled this imbalance that we were talking about, which is absolutely phenomenal. There's a lot of energy that's come through the end of last month, so the 30th of June, 4 o'clock yesterday, and it's just powered on through and taken that out, which is very promising to see. So we swept all those liquidity zones, even this liquidity zone that I set up yesterday and Saturday, sorry, I apologize. It just broke through. There was so much energy, so much buying pressure, which is really good to see. Managed to break through all this as well, which really clears up our chart. So many liquidity zones. Ooh. Alright. Let's just do a quick stop over here and we'll see where our next points might be. The high was 63.8646. Lock it down, we'll put an alert on that just for our own info. And we've already got those set up, all those liquidity zones. So we've got 68.50, we've got 64,194, 64,451. So as we find support from the 0.618 retest, as we've come back down, we broke through, we just tapped off the 786 level, and we've come up and we found a gentle, little small 2 hours of retest on the 618. We've filled that imbalance, we rejected off one liquidity grab, and now we're going to see where we go, kicking off this new quarter, new month, and new week. So, which is fantastic. It's really gives us something to actually talk about and look at. So we've got this. So we've got a nice little liquidity grab at the 618 at the 62,600. Let's put one in just below, just to give ourselves just a few little areas. We can see that there's excuse me. So we can see that from Saturday, our moving average has come up, just done a gentle retest, but we've definitely got this flow to the upside, which is really nice to see. It's nice and gentle. We have come up for a spike, but that certainly doesn't mean, like for instance here, we've come up for a nice, there's been a big spike there, a gentle retest and a continuation. So there's nothing to say that we couldn't come up and keep going, but we also might come up to this 50% level, which is, let me just zoom out a little bit. Ooh, that is messy. Let's go to the daily. So as we can see, this impulse here, so our last run up to test highs from the low of 56,500-ish up to the highs of 72,000. We've come back, we broke through the 50% mark, we broke through the 618 Fibonacci retracement, we broke through the 786, found support above, touched it, and then we've broken up through the 618 mark. So remember, these are just emotional, self-fulfilling prophecy levels. However, they happen enough for us just to take an acknowledgement that that's where we are. So that's fine, and that's okay to look at. We can see that we've got, on the daily, we do have a change in direction. Our 5-period moving average is moving towards the 34 moving average, so coming down from below, coming up to close the gap. So our histogram is starting to be negative. It is negative, and it's moving bullish, which is really good to see. We've got 1 day, where we've converted the stochastic momentum ergodic oscillator, the SMIO, we've moved to positive, which is really good to see as well. So this is actually showing us that there's a real good chance that although we might bounce a little bit, we are looking that we're heading in the right direction until we find another reason why we won't be. So we've got a change in direction on the AO. The SMIO is converted to positive, which is really good on the daily. Let's just zoom out while we've gone in this direction. So if we go to the weekly, we can see that the weekly was a really nice wick candle. So we've come down, we've wicked, and we've just rejected those lows, which is fantastic. It's a really positive sign for bullishness. We still do have the we do have the Awesome Oscillator positive and bearish, but that's not to say that we might get a change in character. It is always a slightly slowly moving. It is a lagging indicator. Sorry, that was a bit of a jumble of words, but it's a lagging indicator. But it gives us the longer term trend. So as it changes, it does give us a bit more of a. It's a steadier moving direction, but it also gives us a more consistent move, where we see that the SMIO is a bit more jumpy, but it definitely can show off as a leading indicator. And we can see that we've got two bottom peaks here, which one is lower than the other, which gives us a level of actually it's confluence, to be honest. So we've got higher lows here. Obviously this is an unconfirmed higher low, but we do have a higher low between the two. So there's higher lows. At least the trend is heading in the right direction, which gives us a little bit of support. even though this one is moving completely opposite, we just have to bear in mind that it is a slower mover because this is moving on 5 weeks and 34-week moving average. So it takes a lot to move those sorts of things. All right, let's move out to the monthly. Because we're at the start of the month, we can see that last month was an inside bearish candle. So we're still sitting within May's bullish outside candle, but we haven't broken out yet. So we can also see that we've got on the Awesome Oscillator, we are positive, bullish, possibly having a slight curve, might have a little bit of a mitigation, a bit of a steady out distribution sort of chance there, but we can definitely see that on the SMIO it has really come up and it's flushed itself out. It was calling highs in March, and it confirmed that at the close of April, and so it's just come back, steadied itself up, still in the positive, still bearish, but that's okay, that's fine. We can see a little bit of pullback and a bit of consolidation because we did have 1, 2, 3 months worth of consolidation, so there's 12 weeks there, and that's fine. So let's go out to the quarter. So I'm on Gate.io, which is not the best one to look at because it hasn't been around forever. BTC, USD, T. That's one that's been around forever. Maybe Gemini? Nope. Should have looked at this first. Bybit? Nope. Crypto.com? Oh, come on. Let's go BTC Crypto. Yeah. Let's see if that gives it a little bit more. Alright, so that takes us all the way back to 2014. So it was created back in 2009, I think. So let's go on from here. Alright, so we can see that we have had a dip from, with a little bit of information we've got here, we are resting on those highs. So at the close and the open of January 21 to April 21, we have rested on those highs, so that's fine. Like, we're still in a strong position. We've still got positive and bearish, positive and bullish direction on the Awesome Oscillator. And then if we drop back down to the monthly, as you can see, we've come up, we've tapped those, broke up, cancelled, failed to break above, and now we've come up and we're resting on those, on that close high from the first peak back in 2021. Alright, so with that said, we are still looking like we're still in a really good long-term position, which is great to see. We're seeing still a little bit of weakness in the weekly, but within the daily, so we can see that the quarterly is looking strong, the monthly is looking strong, and the weekly is looking strong, but the move in the middle, the weekly, is showing a little bit of indecision. So let's just have another look here. So we'll have a look in the 3-day. So the 3-day is negative and bearish, and we've got negative and bullish SMIO. So that is showing that there's a potential turnaround on the SMIO. Let's move into the 2-day. So we've got several days of positive, and we've still got a steadiness, a little bit of consolidation down there on the AO indicator, awesome oscillator. So I'm finding that this is leading into a little bit more information to go bullish. Alright, so let's just go back to the chart that we're always staring at, and let's just go down to the hourly, and we'll work out our bias from here. Actually, let's just have a quick look. Are there any imbalances? Ooh, there's an imbalance. Perfect. So we've almost filled this imbalance, which is wonderful to see. We can see that there is an imbalance from here to here, just below that 618. So whether we come down and retest that before we move higher, or if that is just a leftover order space from this is the last move, and who knows, it might not be. We might end up coming up. We might end up coming up, touching, smashing back down, and then moving higher, or we might end up coming, fulfilling the imbalance, retesting, or we might just come up, retest, and then shoot away without ever coming near that imbalance again. So let's just keep that space as a bit of information that there's a potential chance that we may fall through. But on a daily, we can also see that, on an hourly, once we come down from the daily, we have actually got areas of liquidity within that candle. I won't include that one. Alright, so the reason why I'm not including this candle is that on either side we've got two bullish candles, that's the low. Here we've got two bullish candles, but that's the low, the first candle. And then if we go to this bearish candle, we've got two bullish candles. However, the first candle, the bullish candle, is still the low. So although we're coming back, we're still not breaking any lowers. So this is lower. This is the lowest point. However, that is lower once again. So we may as well just focus on the one level, the one point of interest. If I was to go to one, I would probably go to this one. I challenge it, but it'd be two liquidity points within 2 hours. So I'm less inclined to choose it. But if price comes near it, then I guess any bit of information is always helpful. If I could just be so bold, let's just throw on a move for here. So the recent impulse from 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, come up to the peak, that our 618 line rests gently above the liquidity zone that we placed at 61.92, and our 786 liquidity zone sits at the 786, so just above 61.320. So that's really interesting. So although we've got three lines, we've got the 50% retracement, the 61.8% retracement, and the 78.6 retracement, including those as Fibonacci levels. We've got two, the 618 and the 786, both have liquidity grab levels that have been marked up on the chart before we drew it. So that's why we just include those levels for added confluence. which is very cool to know. Alright, so what are we thinking? We've also got this level here, which is at the longer term 618 level, where we have a liquidity zone as well. So that is my current concept, is that we would perspective bias, is that we would come down here and then move higher. Do have a slight imbalance in here, so we might also come down to test this one. If we don't come down, so then I would probably give these two possibly a 20% chance on either of those, but I do feel that we are going to come up and test these. I think we might just come maybe just down a little bit, but I think we're going to actually challenge these highs. It's my gut feel. You know, we've got a lot of we've got a new month, a new quarter, a new week, new day. Everything is combining into the perfect storm of timing, which gives me the bias of a positive charge that we were going to go up into these highs. I don't think we're going to collapse. Definitely not today. But with all these candle closes and new candles starting, I think that is going to show up as a really good, like we are going to challenge these 64 500 levels. So that's my bias for today. So thanks very much, and talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.